van Norden, maiden name Curl, born on January 12, 1927, in the former Dutch East Indies, now called Indonesia. Indonesia is an island country located on the Asian continent, comprised of approximately 120,000 islands. Indonesia, after India, China, and the United States, is the fourth largest country in the world based on population. My parents, Nick and Johanna Krul, were Dutch citizens, born in the former Dutch East Indies. My father worked as a civil engineer for the Dutch government. As was custom in those days, the Dutch workers were allowed to travel every 6 years by ship, a 26-day journey to Holland for a 1-year paid vacation to recuperate from the tropical islands as well as the tropical diseases. So that was fun and quite a learning experience. My life changed dramatically during the 1940s. World War II came, the same time to our borders as when the American fleet was bombed in Pearl Harbor by the Japanese on December 7, 1941. Holland was already occupied by Hitler's Germany in 1940. The Japanese army occupied our inland, our island, in April 1942. After General MacArthur's forces were finally defeated. Our house was located inland, next to a railroad station. After weeks of frightening silence, I saw my first Japanese soldier coming out of the station, a short, bald man with a long sword. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. He was part of the Kanritai, the Japanese secret police. My father was forced to work for them to keep the trains running. While in service to them, the Kanritai had on occasion brutally slapped my parents around. War is very cruel. My uncle, his name was Beatrice van Norden. He was married to a sister of my mother. He was retired from the railroad. We got word that my uncle again was the station master of a big station. The station was located at the coast. There was an accident. Trains collided. No word, however, what was on the trains. My uncle was accused of sabotage, and word came that he was beheaded. Those were also my father's worries, beside being beaten and kicked at work. Gradually, all of the Dutch people were taken to camps. We were not taken away because my father's job, but were confined in our fenced-in house. We were not allowed to read books, and I often wondered if we could have read the Bible, that would have been comforting. One fortunate thing happened. My brother and some of his friends volunteered to take care of the pigs, for no Indonesian would do that job because of their religion. So he was able to afford the camps and had food. Finally, World War II ended, with the atom bomb being dropped on Japan in August of 1945. The coastal areas of Indonesia then were occupied by the English army, the Gurkhas, who sympathized the Indonesian cause. Unfortunately, the Dutch army being trained in America was not allowed to enter Indonesia because of politics. Then the second disaster happened. When the Japanese occupation ended, the native Indonesians were hunting the Japanese to the point that they were killing every foreign-looking person they could find. During this time, and between 1945 and 1949, an estimated 30,000 foreigners were killed. During this time, all our men, the Dutchmen, were again put in prison camps in October of 1945. And a couple of weeks later, the women and children are also put in similar camps. According to authorities, this was done for our personal safety. Accommodation at the camps were not good, and food was scarce. My mom and I were able to find a stable in our first camp. This was a fort where soldiers were trained. We thought of Jesus as a baby in a stable, but it was time of reflection, but also concern, as we did not know what was going to happen to us. While finding a place to lay down, I do remember my glasses being next to my face, being broken one night by someone in a hurry who stepped on them. My second camp was Lebanon, a corn plantation deeper inland. We traveled always at night, first on foot and then on sugar lorries. Finally, we traveled on grobaks. Grobaks are wooden boxcar wagons pulled by cattle, so it goes very slow. To keep peace, we applied the golden rule. Am I there? Yeah, I was wondering. To keep peace, we applied the golden rule. Hold on, I missed a pace. Finally, we traveled with the grabbers. My mom and I felt better this time. We found our place with 20 others in a garage. So it was not a stable, it was a garage this time. To keep peace, we applied the golden rule principle. One of the things we did, somewhat, and with a friend of mine, and I got together and offered the daily task of cleaning the outhouses every morning. A large bathroom, a larger toilet room, a large well, 2 outside overload channels to accommodate the needs of over 100 women and children. So, we tried to act kindly towards others. The gratitude we got was, we got to bathe first in a clean bathroom. That was all. We did have some fun, however, in camp. I directed a ballet dancing group. But in turn, I also was able to learn Dutch shorthand using a sandbox. After being moved 7 times, we finally were escorted to a railroad station by members of the Red Cross in May of 1947. As we arrived, we were herded to hot showers to get rid of the bugs and dirt. We got clean clothing, shoes, and a room with a bed. It was like awakening from a bad dream of 5 years. When we were there, a group of ministers sat down with us. There were 3 of them, but they were not reading the Bible or praying. They came to discuss with us our downcast feelings and aiding us to start living again, to find to be worth again, to overcome the sad feeling and all the other things what involved us. We were also told that we are leaving for Holland in a couple of months, and to pray and to prepare for a journey by boat of 26 days. We arrived in Holland, a small country in Europe, in November 1947. There were about 3,000 refugees in my boat, and we are called Indos. Indos are an ethnic group of people, generally of Dutch Indonesian heritage. This ethnic group was created during the 300 years of Dutch colonial rule in the former Dutch East Indies. As I shared earlier, shortly after World War II ended, the Indonesians revolted and ended up killing about 30,000 of our people. So we had no choice but to leave the country of our birth and settle in Holland. About 300,000 made that journey. Hollanders themselves had to rebuild after the war years. I got married in Holland and had 2 sons. Life was normal. Then an unusual storm broke out. In January of 1953, a major storm in the North Sea destroyed some of the dikes in Holland, causing major flooding and loss of life in the Dutch lowlands. The flood resulted in the Refugee Relief Act of 1956 that allowed, beside the Hollanders, around 12,000 Indos to immigrate to America, Canada, Australia, and Brazil. The Dutch government encouraged and persuaded the people to go due to a lack of housing, schools, etc., and no land to spare. We were born and raised in a warm climate. Holland was windy, rainy, colder, and much different kind of food. Was the Lord telling us something? Was the storm a sign for us to go somewhere else? Why did all this happen? The Refugee Relief Act lasted from 1956 to April 30. The American consulate in Rotterdam stated in order to qualify, we needed a sponsor, a certificate of a certificate of health from a doctor, and a Dutch passport. We left Holland on April the 3rd, 1957 from Amsterdam in a prop airplane. A prop, not. We landed in New York City and continued on by train to Hagerstown, arriving on April the 5th. With bouncing hearts, a prayer on our lips, 2 children, aged 3 and 7. We arrived at 2 a.m. at the local train station. Now, the Hagerstown Police Headquarters. We were welcomed by Richard and Beatrice Long. Their daughter Diane, 8 years old, and Dr. DeWitt Miller, the minister of this church at the time. They probably wondered what these strange people were also like me, you know. We stayed at the Farney Kiddie home for 1 week, and then went to our rented house on Franklin Street. My husband Fritz was given a job at the Pangborn Corporation as an apprentice engineer. Later on, we found out that our church headquarters in Elgin was contacted by the World Council of Churches, requesting sponsors for 100 of us. Our names and pictures were shared. 4 families of the Hagerstown Church of the Brethren agreed to sponsor us. They were Richard and Beatrice Long, parents of Diana and Darrell Long, Alaric and Kitty Bowman, Lawrence and Ruby Fitzwater, Lee and Cecil Mullendor, Diane and Darrell. Yeah. Interestingly, one of my first jobs in Hagerstown, while still learning the English language, was for Pryor's Printing as a proofreader. In 1967, at the age of 40, I was given a job at Potomac Edison, with maybe a kind word from Paul Hurst, a member of our church. I retired in 1986 and also earned my associate degree from Hagerstown Junior College. This is my special journey. I want to extend my deepest gratitude and love to all the members of this church that have supported me and my family all these years. As a result of your caring and God's grace, my entire family, all the way to my grandchildren, has made successful life here in America. Thanks again for having me. And this song. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you.
You still have pages there.
I know.
Did you have more you wanted to share?
No.
Ready?
It is fine.
Okay.
Yes, it's fine. Yeah, it's good. Wonderful. Not too long. No. I want to hear you now. Everybody else.
All right.